Spider-Man 2 takes place 2 years after the events of the first film. Peter Parker is having difficulty adjusting to both his personal life and his life as Spider-Man. His friend Harry Osborn introduces him to his idol, Dr. Otto Octavius, who eventually, after a freak accident, becomes bonded to 4 metallic arms that he designed, becoming the villain, Dr. Octopus. Meanwhile, Peter's struggles begin to take a toll on him as his powers start to fade. Spider-Man 2 is both a fantastic comic book film and a great film in general. This film really captures the struggles of being both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and I love that because of its reminiscence to the comics. It's also why I love the Spider-Man story in general. Despite his quest to do the right thing and be there for himself and the people he cares about, it hardly ever seems to work out for him, which can be relatable in several ways. There's even a scene where Peter tries to help people in a burning building after he briefly retires as Spider-Man. Although he saves one person, he fails to save another, and even though it wasn't his fault, he still feels responsible. Tobey Maguire did a fantastic job portraying that struggle. His performance as Spider-Man was fine, but compared to the other actors, his version of Spidey is a little more serious and less witty. But that could also be because of the script or the director, because his version of Spidey is better at the jokes and the witty comebacks in the video game tie-ins to these films. Just like the first film, we have the iconic score of composer Danny Elfman, and the opening title sequence features the artwork of Alex Ross, which was pretty epic, especially since I'm a huge fan of his work. But even though I love this film, it does have its flaws. First of which is the villain's motivation. Now, Alfred Molina's performance as Doc Ock was great and very sympathetic, but his motivation seemed a little off to me. After his machine malfunctioned due to his own miscalculation, which unfortunately cost him both his reputation and sadly his wife, it seemed like his motivation at that point was to rebuild it, just to prove to himself that he was right. But my question is, what was he going to do after his invention was complete? I can maybe see him afterwards trying to prove to the world that he was right, but I just don't see what good that would do when he's already wanted as a criminal. He also had no intent on revenge towards others, and the only reason he fought Spider-Man was because A, he was getting in his way, and B, Harry made him go after him. But in all fairness, he was willing to put others in harm's way to get what he wanted, definitely making him a villain in that sense. I just couldn't fully get behind his motivation as a villain. My only other issue is the subplot around Spider-Man losing his powers. I've seen this film lots of times, and I'm honestly still not 100% sure why it's happening. From the first film, you see the spider's venom completely alter Peter's DNA, and with that, I have difficulty believing that he wouldn't be able to use his powers, even with all the stress and self-doubt he gets during the film while maintaining his life as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I can see where they were possibly going with the idea that he's losing motivation to be Spider-Man, but still, I'm not sure how that would affect him if his abilities are literally mixed in with his DNA. Again, I'm sure it was more psychological, but I just wish it was more clear in the film. But despite those 2 flaws I have, this film is great. It has great action, raised stakes, great cinematography, and to this day, the train fight scene is one of my favorite scenes in all the Spider-Man films. This film is also a great journey of self-realization, and again, I love the representation of how actually hard it is for someone to be a superhero, especially for someone that is not a wealthy person, and the toll that it can take on them. This is definitely a film I would recommend you guys check out if you by chance have not seen it, especially with Spider-Man No Way Home coming in just a couple of weeks. I'm going to give Spider-Man 2 an A+. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out this review. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to hit that like button, and please consider subscribing if you're enjoying the content and you'd like to stay updated for it. Guys, thank you all so much. Please be sure to stay updated for the next review in this week of Spider-Man reviews, Spider-Man 3. That'll be coming out very soon. Thank you all again so much, and have a great one.